Well, hey there guys, it's Corinna Bench from mydigitalfarmer.com and from sharedlegacyfarms.com as well. I am so excited to have you here. Today I am going to talk about my content, actually my digital marketing plan. So many of you have been contacting me. I've been doing some interviews with some of my members in the group and just asking them questions, trying to get to know them better. And then you have a chance to kind of ask me questions. And it's really interesting to hear some of the questions that are getting asked because it's making me aware of kind of where you're at, what you know, what you maybe don't know, how I can help you better. And one of the common kind of themes that I've been seeing over and over again is that a lot of us farmers, and this was me when I first started many years ago too, don't always know where to begin when we try to put together our marketing plan. We do a lot of things that feel like marketing or that we think we should be doing that look like marketing, like, oh, I should start an Instagram account, or I should be posting on Facebook, or I should do a Facebook ad and boost this post to try and get people to sign up for my CSA. But we don't always know if it's working, and sometimes it looks like it isn't working. We're not really sure where to begin and what's the most important thing to be working on. So what really matters most, because it can be tempting to do a lot of different things. And even in this group, all the stuff that I've been sharing over the last year with you every week, there's a lot of information there. And if you've just stumbled upon this community and started watching things, it can feel overwhelming. It can be like, what am I supposed to work on first? What if I only have so much time this winter or in the middle of the summer, whenever you're first kind of discovering this video, where should I start? And so I thought that today I would do something I've never really done before. I would map out in a diagram how I structure my marketing plan. So this isn't necessarily what I'm saying you should do because every business is different, but I'm going to walk you through kind of the basic general steps so that when you're looking at putting together your own marketing machine, and if you want to maybe adopt some of the things that I've been playing around with, you can see what the big categories are. And now that I've been doing this for almost 2 years, what would I recommend that you do first? So that's where we're going to start from. If you could start from scratch and do this all over again, this is kind of how I would recommend doing this. This is a little different for me because I usually don't have the camera up high. So I'm going to have to kind of hopefully make sure that you can read all of this. So let me draw out my strategies. You can see what the pieces are in the machine, how they play off each other, and what to work on first and why. So here we go. Step number 1, if I were starting all over again 10 years ago, this is what I would recommend. And I'm actually going to kind of stick it up here at the top. So I would say you need to know who your target audience is. So before you even start trying to build a product, figure out who are you serving? Who is your ideal customer? So I'm putting this at the top because to me, this is sort of overarching everything. If you don't know the answer to this question, everything that follows that we're going to build is going to be off and isn't going to work for you. So you have to think through, who do you want to work for the most? You have a lot of customers. If you've been doing this for a while, you probably have a lot of different kinds of customers. But I want you to figure out who is the one that you love. Because when you're thinking about marketing and trying to attract more people into your funnel, you want to attract more people that look like your ideal buyer, right? So if you can figure out everything you can about your ideal buyer, not just their demographics, not just, oh, they're female and this is their age, but get inside their head and try to identify their pain points, their problems, their inner desires, their motivations, why they came to you to begin with. Then you can identify some marketing assets and strategies to find more of those people. There are certain trigger words, certain trigger emotions that you are causing in your ideal customer, and you want to know what's working so that you can find more of those kinds of people. So figure out who are you ideally targeting? Now, there's an entire exercise and actually a couple of really good videos that I want to recommend for this. I have a customer survey training, which I think is probably my top most popular video out of all of them based on just some of my feedback from you guys. So I would do a search for that. I'll link that up here in the notes. I also recommend the before and after grid training if you want to really figure out how to get inside the head of your customer and understand kind of what they want, what they're looking for, so that you know how to build out the rest of this machine. But it starts here. Who are you serving? Who is your customer and what are they like? What do they want? What's their problem that you solve? If you get that wrong, or if you cast the net too wide, you will not be able to maximize your funnel. There's a phrase out there in the marketing world that says the riches are in the niches. So the more you can niche down and figure out this ideal person is my customer, you are going to be a lot better at knowing your messaging when you put together your marketing assets. All right, so that's really step one, is figuring out who your target audience is. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be offering a workshop later on this winter where I walk people through the Building a Story Brand book, and we're going to be building our own story brand framework for your business. So I'll be offering you an opportunity to be a part of that paid workshop later on this winter if you want to really dive deep into this step of the process. All right. So step number two, the next thing that that you have to think about, it all starts with, I'm going to put this kind of at the bottom here, your offer. So once you've figured out who you're targeting, you then need to think about, what is it that I'm offering them? What is my primary product? And I'm sure that you have a lot of different things that you sell, but I want you to identify, where are you leading this customer? What's the ultimate destination product? Where do you want this ideal customer to land? Now, they may first start out and dabble just at the farmer's market with you for a little bit, and then they may turn into a more repeat customer and a buyer that comes again and again, and they spend a lot more money again and again. But you may actually ultimately want them to end up in your CSA, which is your highest ticket priced item. Or maybe you have something that's even beyond that. Maybe it's like multiple season CSA, where they're in every single season of your year. So try to identify what is that product. Because when you're building a marketing plan, it does no good to create all these Facebook ads and all kinds of stuff if you don't know what you want them to do, if you don't know the finish line. So imagine if you're a racer, a runner, and you start them off at the beginning finish line, and the gun goes off, and then they start running and the path disappears and nobody knows where they're supposed to go or where you want them to go to. That would be a disaster of a race. So it's no different in marketing. As the guide, you are trying to show them where you want them to go. So you, in your mind, need to be really clear up front, what is it that I'm taking them to? So I'm just going to share some just personal insight here. This particular group, with all of you farmers, started out as a whim. I kind of just wanted to share what I was learning and doing, and it's kind of starting to explode. There are a lot of farmers that are starting to join and become a part of it. Last year I offered a paid workshop just to help cover my expenses for doing this particular group. And as it continues to gain popularity, I've been beginning to ask myself this question. It's like, I'm attracting this huge audience of farmers. And so what do I want to do with them? Where am I taking you? And so this has become a very personal question for me. I'm starting to build one of these maps for my digital farmer. Do I just want to kind of keep showing up and doing random videos every week? Or do I want to create something where I can take you, what is my ultimate finish line for my farmers? So that I can better create the content as I go along, instead of just haphazardly thinking of topics. Like, how can I build this process so that I get you to a place that you want to go, so that I can grow you into a marketing genius in your own right for your farm, right? So I want you to think about that question in your business. Where are you taking your customers? I just hope that they'll show up and buy my vegetables. That's not good enough. You need to have a product or an offer, a clear offer that you're guiding them to. So I'm not going to get specific here for you because I don't know what it is, but you do need to figure out what your different products are. Now, there's a really good training I want to recommend here that's already in our archives, and I will put it down in the show notes. And it's the value ladder training. That's a really good one. It's going to help you see and identify the different types of products that are in your product suite, and the I guess the order of importance. So how they move from, you know, less of a commitment to more of a commitment, or less of a dollar amount to higher dollar amount. So it's important to kind of build up your value ladder so that you have multiple steps in the buying process. So that's a good video to watch if you want to get into this space. I also have another one that's all about building your offer for an early bird campaign. But I think that I'll also link that one in the show notes. That's a really good one just to teach you how to build a good offer in general. So I would recommend that one as well. So the offer is the bottom of the funnel. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that as well. So this is, when you think of the funnel concept, people are coming up at the top, all kinds of traffic. They don't know who you are. They haven't really engaged with you a lot. Slowly you nurture that relationship. They begin to buy from you. So they move down the funnel. Some of the people will fall away out of the funnel. Some will continue to move down through the customer funnel. And then eventually they'll end up at the bottom of the funnel, which is this offer. Okay. So that's kind of step number 2, is figuring out your offer. Where are you driving people to? Okay. I talked too long about that, but that's important. I did not really understand that when I first began, that this piece really matters. Okay, the next step that you need to build after you sort of are clear about what you want to sell is the email sales campaign. All right, now this is the one that is often trips people up. So I was just talking with Dave from Beatbox the other day out in Canada. And he was asking me, when he was talking to me, he was like, I'd really love to have some ideas for lead magnets that you'd recommend. And I said, whoa. I mean, I gave him ideas for lead magnets, but I said, you know, just so you know, before we talk about lead magnets, what I would actually recommend you do before you build your lead magnet is create your sales email sequence. And he was like, oh, you know, why is that? And we kind of talked that through. This is super important to have in place first, because this is what you're sending people to. This is like your online salesperson behind the scenes. And it's important to have this written and in place so that when you build the other parts that point here and get people into the funnel, they have somewhere to go and start hearing from you, okay? So CSA is a really big high ticket price, right? People often won't just see a random Facebook ad for the first time where you're just talking about join my CSA and say, oh, I'm going to do that. That happens every once in a while. Somebody will convert, but in general, you're not going to get cold audiences to convert for a Facebook ad like that. The people, if you are just saying, oh, I need to find CSA members, I should boost a post or run some Facebook ads. Let me tell you, the people who are buying, if they are buying through a Facebook post like that, are the ones who have already heard about you a little bit. They've been watching your page for a while and they have been warmed up. But you will rarely convert somebody who's a cold audience member to that kind of an offer. But this is why we have something like this in place, because if you create a Facebook ad that points them to some kind of an opt-in where they have to give you their email address, now you can send them to an email sales sequence that will begin this process of teaching them about your CSA, all right? So this particular email sales sequence is usually between 7 to 10 emails. They drip out over the course of, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks is what I would say. So not every day. And the first 3 emails in that 10 email sequence, I think are the most important. Just my data shows that those are the ones that have very, very high open rates, almost all of them, which makes sense because when somebody is first learning about you and they actually want to hear about your CSA, there's that window of time at the beginning where they're going to open up a lot of those emails. But in these emails, you're answering frequently asked questions, you're speaking to their pain point, you're stirring up the desire, you're capturing their attention, you're giving them things for free away, like a cheat sheet or a PDF or a recipe book or something like that will create goodwill and reciprocity. and you're answering the most frequently asked questions that buyers have that are keeping them from jumping right into your offer. So these are specially crafted, and I have a really fantastic training all about how to build your email sales sequence. I will put the link for that in the show notes as well. There's going to be a lot of links in this video today. And what I really like is the campaign builder that I built. This is a PDF that you can get at sharedlegacyfarms.com/campaign builder. This is a really, really good worksheet that's going to help you go through that training about how to build an email sales sequence and then get some ideas for how you would build one for your own farm. This is important to do first because you want the sales guy in place so that when you begin to talk about your product and your offer and your services in other places, we're going to get to that in a minute, you have someone in the background on autopilot that's going to continue to do the job of warming up your audience for you, and who can do it kind of at scale, who can just be doing it automatically behind the scenes. All right, so this is the next thing that I would recommend that you build. So if you're gonna, if you've already figured out who your audience is and you've done the work on that, you know what your offer is, then the first thing you need to do is write your email sales sequence. And that can be done in a couple of days if you give yourself just really, really focused. The great thing about this is that once it's written forever. And I mean, I go back and tweak mine every year a little bit, but I only spend, 3 hours every season kind of tweaking it. So it does take some time to write it the first time, but it kind of lives on forever. Okay, so middle of the funnel email sales sequence. All right, the next piece is the lead magnet. All right, I guess I'm going to stick that right here. Lead magnet. Now, if you're new to my community, you may not know what that phrase means. This is what I call the bait. All right, you create something of value that your potential customer would find so intriguing and so good that they want to get their hands on it, that they're willing to trade their contact information to get it. And so this can be things like, let me give you some examples of lead magnets that I have used. I've created a 6-question PDF document that's the 6 questions you should ask before you join a CSA. I talked about that on the Farmer to Farmer podcast. That has been a huge lead magnet for me. It's just 3 pages. It's almost like a blog post that I fancied up a little bit in Canva, and I attached it to a form. So I have an email service provider, ESP for email service provider. That's kind of a code word, called ConvertKit, which I love. Now you may have something, you might have a free tool like MailChimp. But my email service provider allows me to create a form. So I build my form in there, my opt-in page. And when people get directed to that form, they then they're told to download this particular lead magnet. So I'll say, hey, subscribe to get my 6 questions to ask before you join a CSA. And they'll give me their email address. And when they give me their email address, they automatically get tagged. So there's a tag that happens here. I set that up in ConvertKit as an automation rule. And I say, when someone downloads my lead magnet, then tag them as a lead. And then I also tell ConvertKit, hey, once they get tagged as a lead, start this email sales sequence automatically. Or I can say, wait 3 days and then start the email sales sequence automatically. Okay, so I don't have to do anything except set up the machine and it runs. So the lead magnet is really important because this is what's causing people to get interest in your farm. It's kind of attracting them into your lair, and it's identifying for you who might be interested in your product. Now, how you write these lead magnets is really important. You wouldn't want to create like the top 50 places for moms to take toddlers in Toledo. Like, that would not be a helpful lead magnet if you're trying to get someone to buy vegetables. There has to be alignment. So you need to ask yourself, what does my customer want to know? What are some of the questions they're struggling with or the obstacles that are keeping them from moving forward in this process. And maybe I can create a lead magnet around that. And that would be the first step in this process, in this relationship we build, that they would want to download that, and it begins the conversation. So besides the 6 questions that you ask before you join a CSA, I also have a harvest calendar, which is basically just a giant chart that lists all the vegetables we grow, and then the weeks of the CSA season as a grid, kind of a chart. And then I have the boxes filled in where I think we would probably give them that vegetable in their box. That particular PDF is downloaded actually more than my 6 questions one now. Because it answers a question that they all have, like, am I gonna like what's in this box? I wanna know what I'm getting. So the beauty of a great lead magnet is that when it's well written, it will be able to qualify your leads, because no one is going to download a harvest calendar unless they want to possibly join a CSA, right? So it's almost like they're raising their hand and saying, hi, I'm interested. I'm clearly interested because I'm downloading a document that only someone interested in CSA would download. That way I know that I'm not spamming them. I'm not sending them through an email sales sequence that they're really not interested in. They have showed me that they're interested in it by raising their hand to download that lead magnet. So building a good lead magnet, brainstorming what it could be, and then building it in a tool like Canva is the next step, putting that into place and then connecting it to your email sales sequence. So how do you connect it to the email sales sequence? Where I already mentioned, you'll need an email service provider. That's really all you really need, because you can build a form just in that, and then you can just put that form on your website. But I also use another tool in conjunction with these, which is a landing page builder. It's called Leadpages. I think I spend $350 a year for this software. And what Leadpages does is it talks to ConvertKit. It connects with ConvertKit. It also connects with my website, which is a WordPress website, and talks to it, since this is where since some of the forms are housed. So what I will often do, I'll build the beautiful form and landing page inside of Leadpages so that it looks pretty. I could just build a very basic form on ConvertKit, but it's not going to have any pictures or have any bells and whistles on it. I can make it look really awesome in Leadpages, and then I just have the two talk to each other. So I do have a video, if you want to watch that at some point, about how to set up an opt-in page in Leadpages if you're interested in that. I'm also an affiliate for Leadpages and ConvertKit. But these are my 2 workhorses, my 2 software pieces that really do a lot for me, because I feel like they make the forms look professional and classy and modern, and kind of just elevate my brand a little bit. That's why I'm willing to spend the money for ConvertKit and for Leadpages. That's the biggest part of my advertising budget every year, are my software tools. All right, so another idea that you could use for a lead magnet would be like maybe a beginner's guide to CSA, if you wanted to put something together like that. If you were a milk dairy CSA, you might want to think about, do you get questions about is raw milk healthy? Or you could create some kind of a document that really gets into that and walks people through some of the fears they have about that. So just kind of try to imagine get inside the head of your customer. That's why you need to know your target audience so well. And that's going to help you really figure out what would be the ideal lead magnet. All right, a few other things I want to say about this is that I have several lead magnets that I have made. I continue to play around and build more as I continue to grow my business. And I sometimes will cycle them in and out. But start with just one and test it and see how well it does. Where do these lead magnets live? Well, you can do a lot of cool things with them. Once you build the lead magnet inside of Leadpages, right? So it's just a landing page. It's a URL address on the web. And once you have that URL address of this lead page, so an example would be Shared Legacy Farms /DF Lab, okay, for you guys. If you want to subscribe to this particular group and find this community, go to that address and you'll see an example of a landing page. You can put that landing page, you can talk about it on Facebook, all right? So you, on your business page, maybe one of your posts every week is, hey, would you like to download my 6 questions to join a CSA? Go here. And then you put that that URL address, sharedlegacyfarms.com/write CSA or whatever it might be. So that way they simply can go to that landing page and then subscribe. So I can put it on my Facebook page. I can, obviously I stick them inside of my website. So if people are on my blog, they'll see a form at the bottom of the blog that allows them to download or a particular resource and subscribe. So there's lots of different places that you can put this. If you do a Facebook Live video, like I do here every week with you guys, sometimes I say, hey, if you want to get my worksheet, go to sharedlegacyfarms.com/campaign builder, okay? And I just verbally told you about a landing page, a lead page, that's going to take you to my lead magnet, all right? So you can talk about it verbally in videos, put it on a Facebook post, put it on your website. So you can throw them around everywhere. You can even stick them on your flyers if you want, as you pass them out, or if you have little postcards at the market. So now there's a very clear website that they can go to subscribe and get on your list. All right, there's a fantastic Lead Magnets 101 video training. I think it's one of my best ones that I'll also link down in the show notes as well. If you want to learn how to build a lead magnet and get more gritty details about helping you figure out a good lead magnet for you, you should definitely watch that. Okay, so this is really the main skeleton. Know your audience, build the offer, be clear about your offer, create that email sales sequence, and then make a lead magnet that's going to point to them. Do you see why it's important to do this first? It does me no good to build the lead magnet, talk about it on Facebook, bring it up in a Facebook Live video, put it on my website, have people subscribe to it. Sure, they might get tagged as a CSA lead, if you set that up in your email service provider, but then they're just sitting in your email subscriber list and you're not following up with them right away. If someone tells you they're interested and raises their hand by downloading a lead magnet, you know that the window is now open. That taxi light is on in their car and they're ready to take passengers. And they're only going to have that taxi light on for a little bit of time. If you ignore that and you don't begin this process right away, you lose that window. Now, you guys have all seen this with the CSA wait list. People are like, yeah, I'll be on the wait list. So you put them on a wait list and then you don't do anything with the wait list for like 3 months. And then you try to talk to them again when you have an offer and you try to pitch it and they're not interested. Because that window is closed. So you really need to have this email sales sequence in place, ready to start pitching and educating and teaching them about the product right after they download the lead magnet. Build this first, then build your lead magnets, okay? All right, then, so this is the basic machine that's running my sales right now. I don't really go out to events anymore and try and promote. I don't do coffee talks or things at the Rotary Club, trying to pitch people CSA. I don't do that anymore. It's all done electronically. And this is the machine that's working behind the scenes. So what are some of the other elements that I have to kind of pull the trigger on every now and then to keep the wheels greased? I'll talk about those next. So I do have a weekly nurturing email is what I call it. And so that is going to be, actually, I'm going to put that here, the weekly email. And this goes out in the heat of the season. It goes out every week. Right now in the off season, I'm kind of playing around. I think I'm going to do every 2 weeks. This is obviously going to anyone who has gotten on my list, which means they downloaded a lead magnet. They showed me they were interested in my farm, but they may not have actually gone all the way through here and ended up at the bottom of the funnel, but some of them have. Some of them are my CSA members, right? So I've got people who are actually, are part of this offer, but I also have people who are leads, who are still on the journey, and I probably have some people who are just fans, but who will never buy, okay? So there's kind of 3 different audiences here, and the importance of the weekly email or the bi-weekly email is to just stay in touch with them and to continue to add value and to build that goodwill. So these emails, I'll kind of walk you through one of them in the next few weeks. What is inside those emails, of those weekly emails? How do I structure them? But the value of these is to just continue to warm up my audience. So especially if they're a lead, I want to make sure I stay on their radar, but I want to train them to open my emails. So I want to make sure that my emails are valuable. When they see it come into their inbox, I don't want them to be like, oh, not another one. I want them to be like, oh, there's always something cool in there. I wonder if I'll find another nugget in there this time. So that's why it's important to study copywriting and to get good at that. Now, I also write a weekly email to my CSA members because it's important to keep that relationship strong. This is where that customer retention piece is so huge. If you continue to build that relationship with them through emails, you will see a huge increase, I think, if you write those well, if you can continue to teach them, add value to them through that. That I think really has helped with our customer retention number. All right, so this is adding value, building trust, warming them up. It's also positioning me as the authority in the space and creating reciprocity and goodwill. Okay, so this is a discipline that is definitely a part of the machine. If I just relied on this, people would go through the funnel. Some of them would fall out and not actually take the offer. And if I don't have a weekly email continuing to talk to these people, they would never really hear from me again unless I come to my launch season again and I start pitching. Like all they would ever hear from me was pitches, and that's not fun. So we have to make sure that we let them know, hey, I care about you, even if you don't buy. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to bring up was my Facebook group, which is, I'm gonna put it down here. Can you guys see that? My particular Facebook group is a private one for my CSA members only. So it's a value add. It's part of the offer that you get to be in this community. It's a closed community. And in that group, we do a lot of trainings and special content that the rest of the world doesn't see. So this is really a group that's designed to feed the people at the bottom of the funnel, to keep them excited about the product, to continue to grow and develop them, and to build loyalty, to turn them into ambassadors, brand ambassadors for my farm. So that has a very specific purpose. But you could also create a Facebook group up here that's really hitting the top of the funnel, and that would be like an open group where anyone can join, and you can create content in that group that's really trying to lead people down into the funnel, trying to get them to take your lead magnets, trying to warm them up more, build relationship with them so that they'll want to eventually buy your offer. So I don't have one of those because I use my business page, I think, pretty well right now, but that is also an option for you. If you want to learn how to build a really great, engaged, highly engaged Facebook group, I actually have a course for that inside of teachable.com. I'll put the link for that in the show notes as well that you can purchase and go through that. I offered it as a paid workshop last year, and then I turned it into a nice course on teachable.com where anybody can get it whenever they want. So that is an option as well if you want to really dive in and learn how to build a Facebook group, and it really walks you through it step by step. Okay, and then I'm almost done. I also just wanted to talk about traffic. So let's talk about, this is the machine that's moving everything, and the Facebook group is keeping my current members really engaged so the retention stays high and they feel fed. The weekly email is continuing to nurture my CSA members, but it's also talking to people who haven't bought yet to try and keep that relationship warm. And then this guy is just the sales machine that's moving people through down to the offer. Okay, but I also just want to just identify that we have out here this big fancy word of traffic. All right, and so traffic is like all the people floating around who don't even know who you are yet, who maybe have never heard about you. And how do you direct that traffic? How do you take this, if you think of traffic as like a big sea of water, how do you direct the garden hose into certain areas so that you can find those people there and talk to them? So for me, the platforms that I find people on traffic are YouTube. I'm going to be doing a lot more on YouTube for my farm this next season, really trying to maximize my YouTube strategies there. Facebook is the other one. I have a business page. And then Instagram, I do have an Instagram account. I'm kind of curious if you guys have a big following there. I feel like more of the people on my Instagram account are farmers than potential customers. But these are three of the big platforms for me that I'm using right now. And so I have different strategies. I should probably say website. We add website. People find me on my website when they Google. Okay, so these are some like the 4 different places where they might go and just hear about me and find out about me. So I'm trying to create content that I can put in these places to engage them that will interest them, kind of make them want to start paying attention. So I might do on Facebook, on my business page, from time to time, I might do Facebook Lives where I am in my kitchen and I'm teaching them something about vegetables. Or I might do a Facebook Live where I'm out showing them how we pull carrots with our carrot harvester. Just telling the story of the farm behind the scenes, doing an interview with the farmer, showing them how life works here, just to get them to become fans of our farm, so to speak. And then every now and then, I'll have a list building blitz campaign for like a week where 7 days I am trying to get people to download a particular lead magnet. And I know that I'm really only trying to talk to people that are following me who are my ideal customer. I'm not trying to talk to everyone, just my ideal customer from that group. And some of them take the lead magnet, and then this process starts, okay? So I just use Facebook as a place to try and collect future people that might take the bait later on, okay? Same with YouTube. YouTube is really more of a search engine, so I'm going to be trying to create content that is something that people would be searching for and looking for as well. So same thing though, you can create videos in there where the call to action is download my lead magnet and begin this process. Instagram, website, the same thing. So creating blog posts on the website so that there's a form, that's always a form attached to the blog post that has something to do with that blog post that would lead them potentially down one of my sales sequences, all right? Another thing that I'm doing right now on Facebook is a challenge. So in the wintertime, I'm always like, what do I talk about? And I'm doing a crock pot challenge for 21 days in December, and I'm going to be like using that as to sort of focus my content for the month of December. And I'm going to create a lead magnet. I already have created a lead magnet so that people can do the crockpot challenge by subscribing to a forum. They're going to get a weekly email from me for 21 days that has a crockpot recipe in it. And hopefully they'll get tagged as a crockpot challenge person. And eventually they will get pitched, do you want to learn more about CSA? All right, and then this process will start for them. So I create different kinds of challenges. I do a freezer challenge. In January, I'm doing, like I said, crock pot challenge. I've done an instant pot challenge. So challenges are really great ways to focus my content on Facebook and on Instagram, and frankly on YouTube, because I can put those videos on YouTube. And again, just keep mentioning my call to action is to download the lead magnet so that I can get them into my email list. All right, cool. So these are kind of all the pieces that are moving. I do want to just, before I finish, I'm going to move back over here to this section. And I want to just call your attention to these workhorses, okay? So people are often asking me what are my tools that are driving this machine. And the 3 tools that I use are, number 1, my website. So that's like the source of truth. Everything's on my website, and I've built that on a WordPress platform. ConvertKit is my preferred email service provider. You need to have a great email service provider for this to work. If your emails are going in the promotions tab most of the time, that's a problem because you work so hard to get people to take the bait, right? And then if they don't get the email that they have to go and click, confirm my email subscription so that it shows up in their, so that they start getting your weekly emails, you're never going to be able to do this. None of these emails will show up. So you need to have an email service provider that's actually delivering the emails to their primary inbox, not their promotions tab, which is why I love ConvertKit, because that is their claim to fame. Now, not every single one, it's not 100% deliverability, but it's a really high percentage. And part of that is also just knowing how to write good emails too. But this is definitely my workhorse. I've built all of these things in there. All my lead magnets are in there. So having a good email service provider is awesome. If you're interested in trying ConvertKit, this is probably the time of year in your off season to give it a go, because you don't want to be switching email service providers or even thinking about it in the middle of the season. They have I think a 30-day trial period where you can give it a shot and just play around with it before you actually move everything over. But if MailChimp is working for you, don't switch. I don't think it's worth switching at the beginning. But if you're looking for a more robust tool, this is definitely the one to look at. ActiveCampaign and Drip might be some other ones that I would look at if you're kind of trying to compare. Okay, I think I pay $41 a month, but the beginning level I want to say is $24 a month up to a certain number of subscribers. Okay. So Leadpages is the other one that I'm a huge fan of. I'm also an affiliate for them. And I just love how they make my opt-in pages look. So if you've ever gone to one of my pages where you have to subscribe for something, I hope that you agree that they're really pretty, and they make an impression about just the graphic design is well laid out, and there's a lot of science behind landing page builders about where exactly to put the button and where to put the text. They've done testing, it's called A/B split testing, to find out where people respond more if you put the button over here or if you have an element over here. They know all this stuff, and so they design these templates for you that have all that science behind them. So I just choose a template, and then I change the picture behind it, I change the text in the form, change the color of the button to match my brand colors, and then attach my different things. So I just really love this, and I feel like $350 a month is not a lot when this thing is chugging out for me. So, hey, that is the end of this gig. This is it. This is how my machine runs. My offer is my CSA, but I also have another product that I'm developing, which is the Academy. I've talked about it before. The online academy where anyone can access all my training videos for all the vegetable university, all the video tutorials and the ebooks that I've written for the veggies and the exit strategy videos and all the stuff that I provide to my CSA members. It's kind of like the university for them to learn how to succeed at CSA. And I'm beginning to build out an entire map like this just for the Academy, because it's another primary product for me. And I would obviously create a different email sales sequence. There would be a different target audience for that. So it's kind of fun. As you create different big core flagship products, you build a whole nother one of these inside your machine to create another revenue stream. So if you enjoyed this video, share it, like it, comment. I would love to get some feedback. And if you're watching this on YouTube, when I post it later, please subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks guys for joining me, and I will see you next week on another marketing tutorial. Take care, guys.